Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we really get into fascinating topics and pull out the insights that matter. Today, we're tackling something I know a lot of you listening have, well, struggled with. You've put in the hours studying English, maybe for years, but you feel stuck, like you've hit some kind of invisible wall with your progress. You might think, oh, I just need more words or maybe harder grammar drills. But what our sources are telling us is, well, it's often quite different. It's not always what you're studying. It's more about how you're actually, engaging with it. Okay, let's unpack this for you.
That's exactly right. And our mission here in this deep dive is really to give you the tools, the insights to figure out and, crucially, overcome those really frustrating plateaus. The research, the advice we've looked at, it offers some genuinely practical, actionable steps, things you can actually do for a real breakthrough. We've basically distilled the key ideas, the essential nuggets, to help you understand what's really holding you back, and maybe more importantly, how you can actually move forward with some power.
Right. So let's start with that really crucial first step, figuring out the real problem. It turns out, and this is surprising, a lot of learners don't really know what's stopping them. They feel stuck, sure, but they can't quite put their finger on why. And this isn't about blaming anyone. It's more about finding that hidden obstacle, that impenetrable wall sometimes that's blocking progress.
Yeah, it's a bit like, imagine your phone just won't charge. You wouldn't just keep buying new chargers, right? Hoping one works. No. You'd check the port, maybe try a different cable, see if the socket itself is the problem. But with language learning, so many students kind of fall into that pattern. They jump between different apps, different courses, without ever really diagnosing what's fundamentally, let's say, broken in their approach. What's fascinating here is how often people just skip that step entirely, the diagnosis. You might be trying to fix the wrong thing.
I've definitely been there. Just doing the same old boring exercises because, well, it feels familiar. But yeah, it's rarely the most effective way, which is why our sources really push this idea that learning has to be active and fun and authentic. It's about getting beyond just memorizing lists and actually having, actual conversations. That's what helps you start thinking in English instead of just translating everything back and forth in your head. But okay, what happens if you study stuff but miss that vital step of, well, using it, applying it? And I think this brings us neatly to what the sources are calling one huge error we see every day. It's this big disconnect, right? It just wastes so much effort and stalls progress. I mean, the gap between knowing something, like studying it, and actually using it, here's where it gets really interesting.
This really is, I think, the absolute core issue. People are diligent, They copy down new words, they work hard, maybe use flashcards, try to memorize them. But then, and this is the key phrase from the source, they never actually apply them. Think about it like this. Language isn't some static thing in a museum you just look at. No, it's more like a gym. You have to work the muscles. If you don't actively pull those new words into your conversations, into how you think, maybe even into how you joke around, they just poof, disappear. They're forgotten. Yeah. In fact, some research we looked at suggested that learners who actively used a new word, maybe just 3 times in a normal conversation, they remembered it something like 80% better.
Wow, 80%?
Yeah, compared to someone who just wrote it down 10 times. So the emphasis has to be on bringing the language into your life, making it real, making it part of your world.
That's a massive perspective shift. So if using the language actively is so critical, then the sources point to, well, the most crucial part of doing that, and that's speaking. But I can almost hear the question from listeners now. Okay, but where? Where do I practice speaking and how? Especially if I don't live in, say, London or New York.
Mm-hmm. Well, what's fascinating here is think about someone who maybe moves to the UK. Let's say they lived somewhere before where they barely heard any English. Almost instantly, their English starts getting better, right?
Right, just by being there.
Exactly. Just by listening, speaking, and being surrounded by it every single day.
Yeah.
That's the real power, the beauty of that real-life immersion. It sinks in, your brain adapts because it has to.
But, and this is the really exciting part, the bit our sources kept stressing, you don't actually have to move. The key word, the crucial word they used over and over, environment. You don't need a plane ticket to be surrounded by English. Your phone, your room, even your daily commute. They can all become part of your own personal English world.
Absolutely. And it's surprisingly practical how you build this English environment. Simple things, really. Switch your phone's language setting to English. That's step 1.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Listen to English podcasts or music when you're walking or on the bus or doing chores. And this might sound odd, but practice talking to yourself in English. Describe things out loud, right now, or wherever you are listening. Just look around. What do you see? Start describing it in English. The objects, the colors, maybe how the light looks, how it feels.
Narrating your life, basically.
Kind of. Or narrate your actions. Okay, I'm making coffee now. I'm chopping the onions. I'm reading this article. Say it loud in English. This is so powerful because you start practicing without even feeling like you're studying. You're linking the language directly to your life, your reality. You're designing your own little immersion zone where English is just there, part of the routine. And the advice is so clear. Begin today. Don't wait.
That's super actionable. I love that. But, okay, let's tackle another big question. One I know hangs over a lot of learners. Grammar. Is it really necessary for fluency? Do you have to be some kind of grammar expert, a grammar guru, before you can speak with confidence?
Great. The straightforward answer from the source material and, generally accepted wisdom is yes, grammar is necessary, but you don't have to be a grammar guru.
Okay.
So this raises an important question. Why the yes, but? Well, think about it. Trying to communicate complex ideas without any grasp of basic grammar. It's like trying to build a house with no foundation.
It'll just fall apart.
Exactly. Things get confusing, messages get mixed up. You need that basic structure, understanding tenses, how sentences generally fit together, simple rules just for clarity so people can actually understand what you mean.
That makes total sense. But I also get why people feel overwhelmed. There are just so many grammar rules, it can feel paralyzing. Like you can't possibly speak until you've mastered every single one. And the sources are definitely saying, no, don't wait until you're writing a college paper to start speaking. That's not the goal for most people. They suggest something more like the more you use English, the more grammar will naturally make sense. It clicks into place through use, not just study. It's less about perfect knowledge beforehand, more about practical understanding gained through doing.
Precisely. And that flows right into finding practical ways to get that speaking practice, even if you're not always in the company of others. There are so many options now. You can find people for practice using language exchange apps, loads of them out there, or through online forums. The great thing is you don't need much. You don't have to leave your house even. Just a phone or a laptop and, maybe a dash of courage to get started.
A dash of courage. I like that.
And for those who maybe feel a bit hesitant at first, you could start with some AI apps. There are apps now designed specifically for conversation practice. Or even simpler, really, just practicing by talking to the mirror. Get comfortable hearing yourself speak English.
It really sounds like the main takeaway, the big message here, isn't about perfection at all. It's not about being flawless right away. It's being consistent. That seems key. Just take that first step. Find some way to practice every day, even if it's small. And you'll likely be genuinely surprised pretty quickly at how much more natural you start to sound and how your confidence just grows from there. So what does this all mean for you listening right now? We've really dug into this idea that improving your English isn't just about what you learn, but maybe even more importantly, how you learn it, how you engage. We looked at that vital first step, diagnosing what's actually holding you back. Then we tackled that huge pitfall, studying but not applying, not using the language. And finally, we talked about the, frankly, amazing and accessible power you have to create your own English environment wherever you are.
Yeah, and if we connect this to the bigger picture, it really drives home the point that just knowing something isn't enough. Knowledge is most powerful when you understand it, sure, but then when you apply it, taking that active role, being critical and thoughtful about your own learning process instead of just sort of passively taking in information, that seems to be the real key to unlocking your potential.
Absolutely. So to leave you with a final thought, something to maybe prompt some immediate action taken straight from our sources, what is the first thing that comes to your mind which you can do today to build your own English environment? Just think about that. One small thing you could start